So first of all, I take this opportunity to thank profusely to NITIR and Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal for setting up this kind of a webinar, which is very, very timely and which is absolutely required, and it will set the right direction and tone for us for the days and months and years to come. I also was listening to Dayanidhi ji. I listened partly to Dr. Patnaik and also then to Mukulji, and they were so inspiring. They have already set the tone. They have already set the direction. They have already told that what is those important things that we need to take care of. So they have made my job little easier because they have already told what needs to be done and how we can uh, do certain things to move in this direction of unlocking $5 trillion economy or Atmanirbhar India and all those kind of stuff. You are able to see me, my video. You are able to see me in the
Yes, sir.
screen.
Video audio is absolutely fine. Even the presentation is fine, sir.
Very good, very good. Okay, so we truly believe that we can bring a lot of technologies because we are higher education today. NITTR, NITER is a higher education institute, and there are so many participants in this webinar. They are contributing to the higher education of this country, and which is so important. And then there are some industry participants that Dr. Patnaik told me that they are there in this webinar. So together we can bring a lot of skills, technologies in the direction of preparing our workforce for the future. But uh, at the end of the day, these technologies will help only if we can change our the mindset, we can change our the direction and the people, because at the end of the day, the people will bring the growth to this country. We have a dream. Collectively, we all saw a dream. And this dream was ignited by none other than the Honorable Prime Minister of this country. When during the budget session, he ignited one spark in all of us that why can't we aspire to become a $5 trillion economy? Can we unlock, can we uncase this tiger called India, Bharat, that can move towards the $5 trillion economy? And it is possible. How all of us 130 crore people together can move in this direction, and what are the steps that we need to take holistically in various ways to make that dream possible. And after a few months, this COVID crisis came. It is an unprecedented crisis, and it is encompassing the entire world. All of us are through this thing. And we have not seen in our lifetime a crisis of this scale, of this nature. And then that triggered another spark. And then the Prime Minister of India, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, showed us or ignited another dream called Atmanirbhar India. Both are very much related. And we strongly believe that every adversity brings certain opportunities. And that is why we feel, all of us feel, in this webinar, all of us that we are here, we feel that this is the time we have to work on this dream and see that how collectively we can do certain things to make this thing possible. How, let us, we are all technologists, we all understand the execution because that is the vision. Then the vision has to convert to strategy, and strategy to come to a executional steps. That what are the things we as educationists or as technocrats or our higher education professionals or part of this industry that we can do together to make that thing happen. If you look at the math at a very, very high level, at a broader level, there are three components of our life. There are three segments of our business, or the three components, three areas or three sectors that drive the economy of this country. Today, if we look at the breakup that we are at around 2.9 trillion, 3 trillion, give or take. The three sectors are services sector, industry, and agriculture. Now, each of these sector has to move forward and has to lift. And it is not a incremental growth. We need to talk about a quantum growth, a quantum jump in these three sectors in next 5 years to reach the $5 trillion economy. The services sector, which is almost, contributing almost 30%, $1.65 trillion into the economy, that has to move significantly. That we have to expect at least to 70 to 80% growth in the service sector. Similarly, manufacturing or industrial sector, that has to grow. Agricultural sector, that has to go through a massive jump, massive change, and almost like 100% growth in the next 4 5 years, so that we can achieve this 5 trillion economy. There is a as is state where we stand today. There is a vision, there is a dream that our honorable Prime Minister has given to us, that we have to reach there. Now we know how much of growth is expected or growth is required in these three sectors. And today, I believe that at the end of this session and in the next 5 days, we have to decide what are the job steps, what are the executionable, time bound actions that together we can take, so that we can also contribute immensely, and we should contribute our part. We can play our part in this journey of $5 trillion economy. As the CEO of Niti Aayog is telling, that there are 5 focus areas. We have to see, and in each of these areas, we all can play a role. We can help in the digital transformation and in making things better in each of these areas. When you talk about how we can improve the ease of business and promote more private investment. If you talk about urbanization, I know there is a session where we are talking about rural urbanization. Then how we can improve globalization, how we can export more when we become Atmanirbhar and do things, but how we can make our things, our products, our services acceptable and respected across the world, so that we can generate growth, we can generate more revenue, and also we can attract a lot of FDIs into our country, because they will believe that this country can deliver. We have to, this is a provocation to all of us to take it as a challenge. When this geopolitical situation evolved between India and China, I remember one tweet that when the government decided that we will ban those 48 or odd application assets or softwares or software products like TikTok and all from China. Then one guy from China, one national, he wrote a Twitter. In the Twitter, he wrote a very good statement. It is very thought-provoking. He told that when you guys have decided to ban our 48 products because you were using them, what you have, what are those products, world-class products you have that we are using, that we will ban in exchange? He's provoking, he's challenging us that, boss, nationalism is good, this challenge is good, Atmanirbhar is good, but at the same time, can you rise to the occasion and create those products and platforms that is so global, how the world people across the countries are dependent on you, so that you can show your strength. So that is something we need to work on. Similarly, on the women participation and agriculture reform, I will go a little more into each of those 5 areas. If you look at all these 5 areas, one is that we have to increase the entrepreneurship. We have to see that how we can create an environment through digital transformation so that more and more people come forward and create those products and solutions. I have seen in some areas we have done some progress, like we have Flipkart or Paytm. There are so many digital payment systems that our people are developed. Similarly, we can do a lot more and to attract the private investment and FDIs if we create an environment to in ease of doing business and make the things more transparent, more agile through digital interventions. Similarly, manufacturing and farming. In the farming sector, if we have to grow dramatically and exponentially, we have to bring more of mechanization, and that is where all of us have a role to play. How we can bring more automation, robotics. I have seen one of our Mahindra tractors where we have developed remote autonomous drive of the driving the tractor. That means tractor doesn't need a driver. In autonomous way, you can drive the tractors, and you can use them in the farm and control them through a remote. So similar kind of things, where how we can use the drone technologies, more autonomous technologies, and how we can help using technology for yield improvement, how we can prevent the crop loss. So there are a lot of things in the farming sector we all have to participate and contribute to for our farmers, because this is where India lives. There are 60% of the India depend upon agriculture and farming, and unless we improve this sector significantly, we will not achieve the dream of this 5 trillion economy. Same thing in the service sector, we are doing more, but what will happen the moment we improve and mechanize our farming sector, which is a good thing, and our productivity will improve, the efficiency will improve, and it will require less number of people, then there will be a flow of people from rural area to the urban areas, and urban areas should have, we have to expand our urbanization. What we have achieved in last 500 years, we have to achieve in next 50 years. And we have to expand the organization with both digital infrastructure, institutional infrastructure, physical infrastructure, roadways, waterways, airways, ports, everything. We need to expand and improve the effectiveness and productivity of these sectors, so that we can, when people come to the urban areas and we expand our we expand the urbanization, then we create the right kind of jobs and opportunities for people, and not just jobs but people to use this infrastructure and help in growth. The other thing is around manufacturing. We are talking about Industry 4.0. We are talking about smart manufacturing, how there also we can use the art of size and scale in manufacturing, and we can bring automation, we can bring various kind of new technologies to do more for less, and then we can be more competitive, and we also can improve the quality of our products, and this is a great opportunity from a geopolitical environment. uh, the other day the Apple phone CEO was telling that, boss, I have all interest. You ask me, I want to find a destination where I can manufacture my mobile phones, iPhones, and all those things. But look at the gap or the difference between the productivity, the skills, the capability, the talent between China and other countries. Even though I want to do something, the other countries are not yet prepared, and not at even the nearest, forget about closer to China, but not even very near to China in terms of productivity of the people, the skill, talent, infrastructure. So we need to do a massive change in these things together to attract the manufacturing jobs and the manufacturing activities to our country. It is a great opportunity, but then we all have to leverage this opportunity. How we can shift some of those manufacturing work from China and other countries to India, and if we don't do, somebody else will do. And other countries, believe me, they're already preparing to see how they can get a pie from this manufacturing shift of manufacturing jobs that will be going to happen, or the manufacturing that is going to happen. So we need to use that. We need to leverage that opportunity. The other aspect that is also very, very critical is the women workforce. Look at this, we are at around 26%, whereas most of the developed nations are almost like 48%. 48%, it almost equal. And this is one area we have to do a lot of work, that how we can bring our women, create those opportunities, create those change in mindset, and provide the right kind of opportunity, right kind of ecosystem, right kind of support, right kind of enablement, so that women can join the participate in workforce. I feel very bad when I see that several women, for various reasons, they after coming to this professional field, after working here for 6, 7, 8, 10 years, they move away from this professional field for various reasons, just because of deficit of the enablement ecosystem, enablement from various reasons. We in the Mahindra Group has created a Nanikali program where we want to support the education of the girl children in a large scale. We want to create millions of support millions of girl children in various part of the country to get educated and to come to the workforce, to participate in the workforce. And that is extremely important. And we must, all of us should create that environment to make that happen. Otherwise, we'll not achieve the kind of national productivity that we are talking about if we compare with some of those developed countries. What are the headwinds? It's not, everything is not honky dory. We will be able to take the right steps only if we know where are the headwinds and what are the challenges. Number one challenge is that we have a large market potential. We have people, we talk about our demography. We tell that we have 60 to 70% of our people, 62.5% to be precise, of our people who are in the age group of 16 to 55, which is the productive age. We have that distinct advantage in our country. But then, unless we create that environment of industry and transformational steps we take, and we come out with ways of innovation, skilling programs. And that is why in India we talk about Skill India programs. We have to do all those things so that we can use these people. This is good and bad. If we don't use this demographic advantage of this population that we have, young population, and if we don't align their energy and direction in the right ways, and if they get diverted and do some of the unproductive and wrong things, then it will become a negative for us. So the same force that we are thinking that will be helping us in the $5 trillion economy, the same force, if we don't utilize them well, it will drag our economy. So we have to be extremely careful and see that instead of people spending the time, I think Dayanandji was telling so nicely that, boss, this is the time where We cannot be only consuming technologies, we have to be creators of technologies, right? We have to participate and create something rather than just consume. So many youth I see that they are wasting a lot of time in only consuming technology which somebody else has developed. We should think about creating those technologies and capabilities. Similarly, the a great learning came during COVID time, that when the geopolitical situation doesn't favor you, when there is a conflict in our borders, when people close the borders, when we don't get the supplies, then how we will become self-sustainable? And that is where the trigger came for Atmanirbhar. How can we be vocal for local? How can we, and guess what? When we take it as a challenge, we deliver. Lot of PPE units we used to import from other countries. Then this situation happened and we rose to the occasion. Today, almost all the PPEs that we use, we create, we produce them in our country. That means we have the capability, we have the knowledge. What we need is that urge. What we need is that Atma Vishwas that Dayaniji was talking about so rightfully, that we have to have that self-confidence, so that energy, that passion, that hunger, that we will be able to deliver and we will be able to do it. And today, if you see, our only PPE itself is a 7,000 crore industry over a few months. We have transferred it to a large industry today. The question is that why we cannot do these things in a large scale in multiple ways when we have the ability to do all those things. Same thing comes about how we can, and the third point where definitely at this point of time, if we compare to a US, to a China, to a Japan and Germany, we still are not there. No, many people still perceive us as a poor country when they see those pictures during flood time. Today, because of the advent of communication and news and all these things spread so fast, people see those pictures when there is a flood in Assam, flood in Bihar, or flood in Orissa, or there's cyclone, and they see those pictures and they see that still we have a huge population which is poor and which are not privileged and which don't have the right kind of sanitation, the right kind of infrastructure, the right kind of houses, right kind of roads, right kind of things to protect us during these calamities, protect us during this kind of pandemic. These things are known to everybody in this world. So then how we will change this thing? We will change this thing if we promote the startups. And that is where I give a lot of credit. We need people like Dr. Patnaik. That kind of a vision is required, that how we can collaborate and create more number of ideas, more number of solutions, more number of startups. We can create, we can be part of this creation of a digital India. I will give some examples. It is not, see, there are many people talk, very few people do. This is the time which will differentiate between men and boys. This is the time which will separate the wheat from the chaff. This is the time where the real warriors will emerge. And this is the time where we have to bring that diversity, that inclusivity, that togetherness to make an impact. And I will tell you, I will give you some examples how the industry and the academia of this come together and be part of this unlocking of $5 trillion economy. These are the challenges when I talk about what is the gap India Inc. Because India Inc. is the source of the growth for this country, and when they, I told in the beginning, they look for the talent, the right kind of skills, but look at the gaps. And this is not to criticize. This is to reflect. I'm bringing these 4 5 points to reflect, all of us together as one team. with a one vision, with a one journey, that how we can overcome some of these gaps. When I see the graduates, I visit almost all business schools, and my team goes to various kind of engineering colleges, engineering schools, including NITs, IITs, various state colleges, a lot of business schools. There are wonderful talents, but still, if you look at the scale that we require, every year you takes around 1 lakh, 2 lakh engineering graduates into the mainstream of, I'm just talking about the IT industry, then other industries also take those. We know, all of us, that we are still not able to create the industry grade graduates in our country. That needs to be reflected upon, that needs to be seen, that how we can change our way we teach, way we upskill, provide the skills and capabilities to people when they are with us in the college, those 4 wonderful years that they spend with us, or in a master's program 2 years, in a PhD program 2 3 years. So how we can give those skills and capabilities? Are we doing enough of R&D? We banned TikTok. What is our equivalent of TikTok in this country? Tomorrow we will tell that we will not use WhatsApp. What is the equivalent of WhatsApp in our country? If we tomorrow, no, let's say we'll tell that we will not use a Google Pay or this or that, then we have to think all those things that we are using. We have to think that are we doing the enough R&D in our country so that we can create an alternative to those things. Otherwise, it will remain just an emotion. It will not be converted into a practice. So that R&D, something, one area we need to see that. And whatever we are also developing or building, is it global standard? Can it compete the test of fire when we compare our products and solutions and technologies with other equivalent solutions and technologies that is coming from other countries? Are we also focusing on various soft skills which is important, like communication skills, leadership skills, collaboration skills, no, no, digital thinking, design thinking, and are we spending enough time in thinking, doing, communicating? So this is also very, very important for us. Are our faculties, and this is a straight question to most of our participants today in the webinar, that as we have such a great role to play, and I think both the speakers before me were talking about it, that how important the role for you and me, for all of us in who are somehow connected to this knowledge industry and training and skilling, that are we ready? Are our faculties, our teachers are ready with the modern day teaching and engaging the students in various innovative ways? Or our learning is still very theoretical? Are we doing a proper balance of diet between theory and practice? Do we create that mindset for creativity, the research, and all these things? And I'm very pleased that some of the institutes are taking that steps, and they're demanding and going and telling these various government institutions that when we go through the transformation, the parivartan, now a stream of parivartan is happening across the industries. Our ports are getting modernized because we are involved in many of those modernization programs as a IT company, whether it is for the Indian Port Authority, whether it is for Coal India. We are completely modernizing their ERP system so that they can be more productive, they can be more efficient, they can be more transparent, they can be more agile. So similarly, there is a lot of work is going on with Indian Navy, in armed forces, in various public sector organizations, various banks. Banks are getting into digital banking, internet banking, mobile banking. When we are talking about creating millions and millions of vaccines, we are talking about how we can implement the AI and blockchain technology so that there is a pure, proper transparency in supply and movement of these vaccines that can reach the needy people. Otherwise, there are some bad elements in every society, and we in our society also we have who can get into hoardings and all those kind of things. How we can prevent that by using technology and bringing more transparency in our supply chain. So all these things are happening, but it is happening in pockets. A question every morning we have to ask to ourselves, that am I part of that journey? Am I contributing enough in this journey of transformation and growth? The other aspect is very, very critical, and I would like to talk to. Am I within time, or I have to close now because we started a little late? So, do I have another 5-10 minutes?
Yes, sir. You can go on for 5 minutes, sir. Not an issue.
Okay, okay, okay.
Please.
So, and you are able to see me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, and I'm audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, very crystal clear, sir.
Okay.
So, in
So,
case
so I will, since I started 5 minutes, then I think 15 minutes late. So I'll go with another 5-10 minutes if you allow me, so that I can close my thoughts.
Sure, sir. Sure.
The two things are important, and the people who are involved in higher education, you have a very big role to play. If we can do a good business, there are two capabilities that are required. This is a very, very important topic, and I would like you to listen very carefully.
Sure, sir.
One is core capabilities, which is the real skills, the technical skills or the engineering skills, whether it is mechanical, electrical, civil, or aeronautics, or aerospace, or instrumentation, or control systems. This knowledge, or even IT skills, data science skills, or computer science skills, these are core capabilities. But core capabilities is a must, but that is not enough. What we have to build is the cultural capabilities, and I agree completely with both Dayanidhi and Mukulji. I believe Mukulji, both of them, they spoke about it, is how we can build the cultural capabilities when the students are with us in the institutes and colleges. And that cultural capabilities only will make the difference. Now I will tell what are the cultural capabilities. Cultural capability is about self-confidence, Atma Vishwas. You cannot become Atmanirbhar unless you have got Atma Vishwas. And Atma Vishwas, the confidence, is a cultural skill. And that comes, there are some societies, there are some nations, they build that self-confidence in their people from the beginning. That is a culture. Similarly, collaboration, that spoke about how some of us can come together instead of doing tu me me and becoming counterproductive. How we can come together and to solve a problem. That is called collaboration. That is a culture. Collaboration, self-confidence, passion, hunger to do something, strive for excellence, then team spirit. Instead of one acting against the other, how we can, as a team, try to achieve something. Take ownership, take responsibilities, not telling that, no, no, this is not my job, this is your job. How take that ownership to deliver. So these kind of skills come from the culture, and these cultural skills, my sincere request to you is that build those skills through various programs, through various projects, team events, and in different ways. Create this culture in the students when they are with you in the primitive years, the formative years. The kids, when they're between that 17, 18 years to 22 years, 23 years, this is the 5-6 years they spend time with the higher education institutes. That is the time, if along with core capabilities you can build cultural capabilities, then our $5 trillion economy, that aspiration will meet. So we have to ask a question, that whether these are some of the responsiveness, speed, consistency, these are various kind of cultural capabilities whether we have. I will stop here as talking about what we need to do in various areas like farming, services, farming sector or manufacturing sector, and all these things, and how all of us can contribute. But then that is all talking. Then are we walking the talk? Are we doing something? Are we executing? I will give you one example. A small effort we have done, and I'm very proud that I was part of that initiative and we have done it very successfully. And your director, Dr. Patnaik, actually he planted that seed. He actually put that thought to do something when he was the vice chancellor in Biput. And what we did a wonderful thing. We, the Skill Development Authority of Odisha, the College of Engineering and Technology under Biput, and Tech Mahindra, three of us came together. We created a AI Center of Excellence, state of the art. Now it is COVID time. I will not invite you to come there, but once all these things, this epidemic is gone, and when there will be new hope, new possibilities, clean sky, we are out of this, epidemic. Then I would invite, if time permits, you should come and see this wonderful center of excellence that we have created. And you know what? The students, what you are seeing, they're all MTech and PhD students. They're all MTech and PhD students. They have been evaluated, thoroughly evaluated, and they are part of this center of excellence. It is students. All of them are students. And the government has supported, and they get their stipends and scholarships. And the director of this center of excellence is sponsored by me. He's a very, very strong technocrat, and with and in the core committee, there is the professors of the institute are there. And what we develop really practical, usable AI projects that can be of use. Why AI is so important? We believe that AI is the next revolution. We were talking about agriculture revolution, then technology revolution, the industrial revolution, then internet revolution, then digital revolution. Now we believe that the next revolution is the AI revolution. And while people tell that there are a lot of jobs and loss, I am hearing that AI jobs are actually increasing. The demand has increasing during this time because people are going more and more into digital, remote working and all those things, and creating various solutions, analytics, insights using AI technologies. Even many people, there is a bank, very largest bank of this country. The digital head was talking to me 2 days back, and he was telling that, boss, in the bank it has never happened. In last 100 years it has never happened. Now we are allowing, through VPN connection, we are allowing our people to work from home because of this COVID pandemic. If there is a building that is closed for 2 days or 3 days for sanitization, we cannot stop the work because it's a bank. It is the lifeline of the country. So we have allowed. But can you tell me how using AI technologies you can monitor the productivity? You can get the insight whether it is secure, it is reliable, whether it is people are productive. So how we can use those technologies to make that happen? So this is the place where you can create solutions for healthcare, you can create solutions for agriculture. I can go on and on and on for next 1 or 2 hours and talk about how we can use these AI technologies in smart cities. Smart city is a very revolutionary work that we are doing in multiple cities, whether it is Kanpur, Gandhinagar, Nashik. There are so many, Bhubaneswar, there are so many cities are going through a transformation through these smart city initiatives and smart mobility transport in each of these areas. In education today, the face recognition, there are small initiatives you can do using AI technologies, that face recognition attendance system. smart parking systems, entry systems. There are some educational institutes in this country where the entire entry system is completely automated, and the AI technology has been used, which will be taking the snapshot of the car or scooter or whatever vehicle that is coming, and through the nameplate recognition system, it will decide whether it will allow the person inside the building or not. So there are a lot of different ways you can use these technologies, and this is just I just gave one example to tell that together we can be part of this journey. This is just one example to end my session. We cannot be just talkers. We cannot go and give sermons. We have to execute. We have to deliver. And it is possible. I gave you an example through which, and I'm so proud that in NALCO, National Aluminium Company, there is a large AI program is going on to improve their inventory management, production planning, material management, which is the key functions for a large manufacturing company to deliver the results and improve their productivity. And this center of excellence is engaged by NALCO to create some of the solutions in that direction, and the work is in progress. So, my last but not the least, I again repeat that both higher education institutes and industry can come together and make this vision of $5 trillion economy, vocal for local, Atmanirbhar Bharat is possible if we all come together and make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for setting up the tone for this whole webinar series. In fact, it was so thought-provoking that I was during your session, I was wondering many times the kind of questions that you have raised for the faculty fraternity as well as for the students as well. And I'm quite sure that the initiative that you have taken, like Center of Excellence, as well as the kind of capabilities that you are expecting, and we at NITR will definitely try to look for that, and I'm quite sure that the participants will also look for the answers that the industry is looking at. Till I'll request all the participants to please ask questions if they have any. So we'll take those as we are running a bit late on schedule. So I'll take questions, two questions only right now from the participants. Tell them to please send it through chat box. Meanwhile, sir, I'd like you to answer one of the things that you rightly said, that there is a gap between the industry and the academia for that matter. And like Tech Mahindra has taken this kind step of putting up a center of excellence. What I would like you to throw some light on is how this gap can be minimized on a national front. So yes, there are certain individual initiatives by some of the big companies, but that is not my only observation, but the observation at large of the faculty fraternity, that this is the complaint from both sides. Industry says academia people don't comes to them, and academy people says whenever we reach, the industry people don't have the time. Like right now, I know that you are too busy, but still, you have taken so time out of and to deliver this web address. But this is, happens not in a large scale. So, sir, please, if you can throw some light, can we come out with some initiatives at a national front, or if you think we as a NITR at NITR Chandigarh can play that role of being a nodal center for making this interaction between academia and industry a reality?
See, first of all, this is a very loaded question, and we don't have much time today, because my apologies, because of the technical glitch, we lost some time, and I don't want to stand between your schedule. You have got a packed schedule today, but this is something I'm very happy that your director is one of the promoters of this kind of a industry academia collaboration, and how we can make it in a larger scale. Number one, again, I am going back to Dayanidhi's comments that Atman is Biswas. If today there are so many public sector banks, private sector banks, government authorities, government institutions, and they have got a provision that when they start some initiative and projects, there must be a panel and representatives from the educational institutes who should guide them, consult them, verify the things, even though the work can be done by some vendors and all these things, but they will be becoming the, they will provide the thought leadership and direction to those projects. And most of the government agencies, they go to education institute. I know, I'm aware that they go to education institutes to get their support and consult. But what happens? They only go to few educational institutes because they also don't have a confidence that across the board we have multiple more number of educational institutes and all these things who can participate in that journey. They go only to few IITs or IIMs and all the. I observe those things, right? So how we also can give the confidence? We can't find fault with them because they don't have that confidence that we will be able to deliver. It is we who have to come out with the right kind of projects, do some kind of technology interventions, show it to the those stakeholders. If at all we are located in Chandigarh, the way I have seen that Professor Patnaik has done, he invited some 5, 7, 8 senior leaders from the various industries and did a conference and showed that what are the various things they are doing. There is a saying called "जो दिखता है वो बिकता है," right? So all of us, that is why I tell that we have to do the thinking, we have to do it, and then we have to communicate. We have to also communicate what are the good things we are doing so that people will have confidence, they will come to us, and they will, so it will become more inclusive. We all have to take a pledge today. All of us, every institute, all those 100 participants, I hope we are representing 30, 40, 50, whatever institutes. How each of the institutes, since we are participating from that institute, they think that in this year I will have collaboration with at least 2, 4, 5 industries. I will have collaboration with 2, 3 startup companies. I will engage my MTech students or BTech students in industry related projects. No more theoretical projects. And when they do the projects, they have to come and tell that how that can help in unlocking the 5 trillion economy of this country.
Sure, sir.
How that project will help a smart city, or it will help a smart infrastructure, or how it will help in the healthcare, how it will help in the agriculture sector, how it will help in the service sector, how it will help in the banking sector, in what sector it is going to help this solution and this thing, right? If all of us will contribute, then it will become a culture. It will become a second nature to us. It will become a habit for all of us. So that is the only thing that is possible. We have to do it all of us together, right? Instead of doing it in pockets.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot. So in fact, there are a lot of questions that our participants want to ask, but I know you also have a meeting and you have actually postponed that meeting for us only. So sir, we are very, very grateful, sir, for you to come and deliver this session to us. In fact, it's really a thought-provoking session. And I am quite sure that we at NITR will spend more time in answering the questions that you have raised during your session, or specifically for the faculty members. Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And
It's a great pleasure.
please be available on the whenever you have a time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.